Hey everybody.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday.
We're live, so the cat's with us tonight. Just how it goes. We are 1 week out from Christmas.
Yeah, and we finally got on some ice last weekend.
That is actually very true. We did drive north. But what did we go do?
Well, we went up to the National Forest.
Yeah.
And we ran into Mr. Sibley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy Sibley. So that was a lot of fun. Ran into he was out with the fam, whole group of them. So actually, I've fished with a bunch of them before, and that is really a lot of fun.
It is fun.
Perch on Gogibic is kind of different than anything else that we're used to as far as fishing around here. So, having him as a guide, not even just the first time that we went out, was super helpful. Also, travel on that lake can be
crappy.
Really, really tough. And so, having a guide just to do that alone is super helpful. With that being said, though, I'm misleading you because we were not on Gogibic when we were fishing. I did hear that there was ice around, and I heard that there was fish being caught, but I don't know.
And he's actually putting shacks out today.
I saw that post, shacks going out.
Yeah.
Hard-sided shacks. So if you are looking to take somebody out on the ice, give him a call. But the fun thing about that is I guess I didn't realize that he was a pan fisherman also,
Yeah, that was fun.
So that was a really great time. We did have ice up there. A few of the people in the group thought that we had like 6 inches. But I think it was more like
5.5.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
With that being said, it is different kind of depending where you go and what the weather has been there and all of that. And so kind of as we always say, it is safety first always. And so make sure that you have your spud bar. Make sure that you're checking the ice depth because you just simply don't want to end up in a tight situation.
Yeah,
or a bad situation.
I've been hearing reports, we're in Clintonville, so we've been hearing reports from Shawano Lake. They're talking about 2.5, 3 inches there. So there's some crazy people out there doing their thing, but there's still open water. I've heard that some backwater spots range from 5 to 2 inches. And I'm sure that even in the places that there's 5, there's probably spots that there's 2. So just like Emily said, just be careful. But yeah, ice is making.
Well, and I'm seeing in the comments, people in Minnesota or people all around on the hunt for crappies. I do have to say the fish that we caught this weekend were all mid-water column, totally suspended. And I would imagine kind of really cruising around because when I would put my Vexilar down there, to be honest, I was not marking fish right away most of the time. Occasionally the big group would swim under or I would pop into a hole and then the big group would mark pretty hard on that screen. But the rest of the time, what it really took was, getting a jig down to kind of the right depth. And, kind of the fall down, gets a lot of attention on the way. And then stopping, right above those fish and jigging them on up. Hotter bite in the morning, kind of waned off in the afternoon, but I think that just had to do with our weather patterns.
Yeah, it was kind of crappy weather. But yeah, focus on silhouetting right now. There's a lot of places that don't have a lot of snow, so you're getting a lot of light penetration. And so don't be afraid to throw dark colors and keep it up off the bottom. Keep it way high up.
Well, and like you're saying, a lot of places don't have snow on their ice. A lot of places it is just clear, hard ice. And so, some fish do not care and you don't spook them and you can just kind of fish at will. And that's awesome, but that's not true everywhere. So, ice fishing, I tend to give it like an extra minute or 2 so that my cleats, from walking on and letting it all cool off. So,
yeah. Well, I guess we
are here tonight.
Let's see if this is Larry.
We're here to talk with
Larry Smith.
But we're not connected with him. I'll just be honest with that. Yeah. So that's what happens when you go live, is that sometimes, you go in a different direction. So if you are super disappointed to not see Larry tonight, contact him and ask him to join us right now, and we're going to contact him as well.
Well, we could call him.
Well, he knows.
Okay.
He knows. But Larry is an awesome guy. We're going to connect really soon, and we're live. So we're going on tonight, and that just is what it is. So we are here to talk ice conditions. We are here to actually talk jigs and plastics, because I think, especially through the season, this is a really evolving topic. And if Larry does join us late, I imagine he's on the road driving somewhere or something.
Yeah, he could be.
And if he does join us late, then that's great. Then we can switch our train tracks back. Otherwise, we appreciate your patience in swinging, shifting gears tonight.
we'll get him eventually. We're not connected with him tonight, so we don't know where he is.
So, with that being said, there was a few things that we noticed this past weekend. Is a few of our fellow anglers really got caught in a trap of using teeny tiny ice plastics because it is ice. Is that always the place to start?
That's not where I start. I start big. I always go high in the water column, as big as I have in my box, and work my way down.
Now, here is a funny thing that I'm going to say, and maybe it's a little bit controversial, to be honest, is not everybody has the same pattern, and I would argue that maybe there isn't a right way to go about this. If you know what match the hatches, if you know, even in winter, sometimes there is isn't it a stonefly? Like different bugs come out and can sit on the ice. Different bugs hatch under the ice, and that's, where they thrive. So if you're matching the hatch, if you know that there's minnows in an area, those are the things that are really important to match, and maybe that's where you start your basis. But if you don't know that otherwise, like Josh is saying, he starts big. I tend to start, I guess, medium, but I can see why he says big, because then I have a hard choice if I'm going up or down. So let's pull out something in your box. If we are fishing...
something in my box. Okay, so first off, there's my box. This is my plastics binder.
And actually, that's a good point, because the reason we decided to talk about this kind of on a whim is because Josh and I do a lot of this differently. Now, you would think that two people living together, married, all this fish together every time, all the time, we go to stores together. You'd think that we would end up with all the same stuff. I guess I should tell the story of when I first started fishing with Josh, and I would always ask him, what should I get? And he made a point to say, get whatever you want, get your own stuff. And it really has kind of evolved a funny method where we do things different. So straight down to how we keep our plastics. I'm a fan of the plastic boxes. I organize by shape. I organize by color. It just really works out for me. There's a few drawbacks. I think as far as plastics go, it is better to keep a little bit more of the oils on the plastics. And so that's where Josh has it on me. But I don't know if his case is quite as organized. So can you show us this one more time?
Yeah, so honestly, I have a few new stuff in here. So it's normally not this messy. But I have, 5 or 6 big bags like this.
And they're
it's just
in
a
binder
Ziploc,
style.
And it's binders. And then I keep all the little bags that the baits come in. A lot of the bait makers use this nice Ziploc in a laminated bag, so your stuff isn't leaking all over. The nice thing about the binder is that even if it does leak all over, it's still in the second bag. So, I have them arranged by because I only have 5 bags, I have probably 20 different body shapes. I arrange it by closest, like I match them. Oh, Mark, that's a great point. Over here behind me, right there, that's my Widowmaker binder. Maybe Emily can grab that. So this is a small version. So there's more in there. I added some new bags this year because I had the other ones filled up. But here's a whole bunch of IJO plastics, a bunch of extreme plastics. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff, and
so this is also, Josh was kind of flipping through it, but I think it was just below the camera. It is also binder style. You've seen these on the Widowmaker sites. There's
Inserts.
Inserts. I was going to say like refills or something. I guess that's awkward. They say that you should only put like 2 per side, I think.
Yeah.
But this really has 3 per side, so that's working here. 1, 2, 3 clumps. And it is kind of organized exactly like color and bait. So maybe, gosh, there's some good baits in here.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a really great option for some people. Also, these are meant to fit in the pockets
in your thigh pockets
of your bibs. So, you know, it is a really nice compact size. It is a little bit poofy with all your plastics, but again, the number of options that you can take in here for a grab and go kind of fishing style, this is super helpful.
Yep. So, yeah, I guess kind of going back to just organizing, I just keep similar body styles, and then I also have my binder arranged by like a creature, so something that's not discernibly a bug or minnow. It just is a weird shape. I have those up front because that's a lot of times what I start with, and then I kind of just work back, and then I have minnows in the back. That's normally where I get a lot more of my aggressive bites, is when they're feeding heavily on minnows, because that takes the most energy to chase down. So you have the creature baits, and if they're hitting big creature baits, I might go to like a big minnow bait, and that might increase my bites. If I have a big creature bait and they're not hitting it, and I go to a small one, I might move to like maybe a medium-sized bug. You know, something that matches kind of their mood a little bit more, and just kind of fine-tune it that way. That's how I approach it.
As far as color, there is such a wide range, and I'm even just like looking across your binder. How do you know where to start for color?
Colors, I always start dark and work light. And that sometimes that has to do with has more to do with the type of day it is. You know, maybe if it's cloudy out, I'll start in a lighter color. But I always like to start way up in the water column. So the darker colors silhouette better on the ice. So I like to start there and then kind of work my way to the brighter colors.
And again, I'm a little bit different because a lot of times I find myself starting with something that's white. So that could be a minnow body. I'm more likely to pull out something that's bug shaped. And I really like something that you can, you know, pinch down into different sections, because here I can put this entire thing onto my hook. Put that down so I can show you. Where's my camera? Because there's even like little arms on the front and stuff. But if that is too big of a shape, then I can always, you know, pinch even that first part of the body off. Maybe even just fish with a tail there or something. A lot of times people look at plastics and then, you know, once you have your color, I guess we were talking about color, but I got stuck talking about the plastic. You know, make this what you need it to be. And that is, I guess, why there's so many options.
Yeah, I mean, you can really, going off of that, you can actually cut down your number of options and just get something that's bigger that you can always modify. And so you can modify it to fit what you need, and then you don't have to carry so many. I, myself, like buying plastics, and I like having options just because I'm a hoarder of plastics. So that's why I have so many.
Well, Josh was saying a hoarder of plastics, but I think the other thing is, you know, we over prepare a little bit just because I think
we like to.
Because we're fishermen and that's what happens is you bring too much with you. But also a lot of times you run into people who maybe are trying a tactic that's not working, or there's something not going right for them that you're noticing. You're catching fish and they're not. To be able to go over to that person and, you know, kind of have the sportsmanship to talk them through that moment, or give them a bait that's working, or show them what you're doing. You know, you don't have to give up all your secrets or even any of them, but to be able to share a bait or something that's working for you is a really great thing to do on the ice. Yeah.
Well, and so Zach brings up a good point here. You know, we're talking a little bit about plastics, but we also can talk about jigs. We had a previous show where we talked to Widowmaker and discuss, you know, a little bit of what they have to offer. But Zach is talking about size. So you can change your lures. You don't always have to stick with the same thing you have tied on. And, I have, just like a lot of you, I have a bunch of different sizes and colors. And that can help, like he says, that can help weed out fish. So that's a smaller side. So if you're not getting a lot of bites, only a big one once in a while, maybe bump up the size of your bait entirely. And that means your jig, like those ones, the mega droppers.
Yeah. Or even like a dragonfly. I only have that giant one.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty stout jig right there.
That's a Widowmaker dragonfly. That's a really big one. I picked that up at a show or something one time.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I don't know if they still have those, so ask them. One of the things, a lot of people, pick out your typical jig. And, especially a minnow profile, you can thread it right on there. And everyone kind of knows, you want it to swim like a minnow. And the same thing with the bug profile here is I threaded it on kind of the same thing I would with a minnow. Looks great. Actually, in the water, there's a lot of great action. This is an IJO plastic, so, if you're looking for something like that. But sometimes you can change your jig only so much. And then this is the same kind of presentation that a lot of people are putting down there. So, the plastic is unique and I guess the jig is unique. But let's talk about a different profile that hangs like, trying to get the color in there. That hangs like one of those. Because those lucky ladies on top is a much different presentation. It's not totally vertical. But it's going to hang different. So let's switch it.
Yeah, it's like a 60-degree angle or something like that. And so it kind of hangs slightly like this. So it's like a semi...
I should have had line in here, I guess. But I just kind of recently started fishing with something like a Lucky Lady again. I've had a lot of luck kind of on the backwaters of the Wolf. That was open water. I imagine ice will be fairly similar. But I was never entirely certain how to do the presentation of this. And just having that plastic a little bit horizontal, have it move around. It has that great tail action. It can just sit like that on your jig.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people think, you have to like really smash it up there. You don't necessarily want it vertical because things don't necessarily sit like that in the water. So again, think of how things swim, if it's a bug, if it's a minnow, and try to mimic something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Glow is an option that people talk about quite a lot. So as far as glow, I find that I don't really have very many glow plastics. I have a lot of glow jigs, and that definitely seems to have some kind of an impact.
Yeah, I just got some of these from Extreme Plastics. Mr. John Lemmer has a blue body and a green tail. You can't really tell. It looks clear actually in the package, but once you get them in dark, it's actually pretty sweet, like a green tail flopping around and a little blue body. So I'm pretty excited to try those. Just got those in the mail yesterday.
Well, and if you're using something like glow, that might be if you are fishing a little bit deeper, or even possibly, if you are night fishing. Mm-hmm. So we don't do much night fishing around us, but I think that's maybe something that we're going to explore.
Well, I mean, it just hasn't worked out for our schedules in the past, but with no shows and not much else to do, I think it'll work out.
Well, and hopefully if we continue to have some good ice through, the season, then that's going to make...
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
It'll be way awesome.
So a lot of what we talked about here today was panfish specific, because I guess that is how we default to fishing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into other species because, quite frankly, that's maybe not totally my expertise, but I would love to hear about things like that from you. Or if you do different things with your plastic storage systems or the way that you use them, let us know any of that. Actually, I would love to know how people keep their plastics because I'm always looking for options for that. Josh is saying tonight that he needs another binder, and that just seems kind of crazy. So, yeah. What else?
I don't know. I don't really. I was prepared to talk with Larry, and he's not here.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Well, hopefully another time.
Yeah.
Hopefully another time. So if you guys have questions or if you have anything about ice season, definitely let us know how it's going for you. We had a funny thing happen. Bring your magnet with you when you go to check holes, because you never know. If you have like a spud bar, if you have kids with, if you're dropping something down there, it's just better to have a magnet in your car than not. Matt Ladarnus asking about scents on plastics, so not to just shift gears super fast, but
well, and ask questions, because then we'll sit here and keep talking.
we can talk.
We have 40 more minutes if you want. So,
but as far as scents on plastics, that's actually a funny topic because I guess I wasn't intending to talk about this, but Josh and I are project people, and we have recently gone on a big expedition that we are pouring our own plastics now. So this is not
for sale.
Right. We're not selling them. This is not, and it's, we're here talking about all these other plastics that we use that we fully intend to still do. But we have also recently dove into the world of scents on plastics. The whole plastic itself, some people will try to infuse their plastic with scent.
Well, you can.
And you can do that.
We've learned kind of the hard way a couple times that there's different oils for different plastics. And sometimes some oils react with some plastics differently, and they'll suck the oils that are in the plastic out and turn them into hard little bits.
They'll get crunchy. They totally lose their action.
But some of them you can add actually the oil to the hot plastic, and then it's in there, and you don't have to worry about it. So
and most of the time though, because it's a little bit misleading, most of the time it is once the bait is created, and then it's an add-on in the end. So with that, sometimes baits come unscented. So with that, you can add your own scent. Some baits do come scented, and then you either trust in the magic of your plastics producer, or
well, personally, I'm gonna say that that Brian Claremont from BAC Guide Service turned me on to lure lipstick, and so I add a couple drops of that into some unscented oil, and that's what I use on my baits. Not a fan of.
Here's the thing. Maybe this makes me totally a girl, but half of the people out on the ice, well, maybe not that much. If you're bringing people out on the ice, you have to be comfortable with the bait you're using, this, that, and everything. And here's the thing. I just don't want to smell like nasty bait juice all day. That is great. If you have no problem with that, that is awesome. And continue with that, and I'm sure that you're catching fish.
Ryan, just a second. If you missed it, there's anywhere between 2 to 5 inches depending on what body of water you're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm also hearing though in the learning process of all of this that people are using all different kinds of essential oils. And I've even heard of people using a cherry scented bait. And so, yes, that's unconventional. But again, that's the thing about making a unique presentation in your bait is if you also have a unique scent, that's something that's going to possibly make a fish more interested. If it's something that they don't like, maybe you're scaring them off. I don't know how touchy they are to scent, to be honest. I don't know anything about that. But I think, having something to attract them is great. I know tried and true that garlic is something that I would swear by. Kind of silly, but as far as connections go, I, for the longest time, had a fish tank, and it turns out that fish actually love garlic, and you can crush it up, fresh garlic even, and put little drops in the fish tank. It's good. It fights off parasites. But the fish would like swim out from everywhere. Even like shy fish in the aquarium would come out. And I just really learned in that moment, I guess there you go. We're talking about, we don't know the power of scent. There is a perfect story illustrating that. And something that I saw. At that time I had like a 55-gallon fish tank. So, how fast does that circulate through the water? I mean, it's a pretty big tank. But I would, based on that experience in the future, put garlic on my baits. And I guess, I mean, I like cooking, so having garlic on my hands is better than like fish or
Well, what else do you put garlic on?
Oh, talking about bait. Okay, use hot dogs on your tip ups. But the key is also, you get your hot dogs, just your cheapest hot dogs in the world, doesn't matter, get them at a gas station or something, and then put them in a baggie, because otherwise they're going to get on the ice and open that bag up, and then it's going to be a mess everywhere if you have any to bring home. So put them in that baggie, and then put a little bit of olive oil, because oil will help to carry that scent. And then if you are using fresh garlic, you can put a little bit of that in there, like crush it up as much as you can, as fine as you can. Or even I've, in a pinch, used garlic powder, and it's honestly turned out really just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend that for sure. I don't tell people that often. I guess that's like my secret. Now we're going into ice season. Everyone's going to have like garlic scented hot dogs out there, and I won't be unique anymore. But honestly, I have a few spots where I can put a tip up that I can almost guarantee a flag. And I don't know if it's a spot, or if it's a hot dog, or if it's the garlic, but in that combination somewhere feels like magic. So, as far as Matt Ladarnis, your original question about scents on baits, it's like worth doing a 10-minute Google search and looking up, what you can add. And even if you want to play with that, you can go to Hobby Lobby and pick up just like little jewelry bags, like really cheap. It's like almost exactly like this kind of thing. Put a few baits in the side in your baggie, and you can try out different scents. If you have a favorite color, put a few different scents down that day and see what attracts the most fish, because maybe you end up with a secret little key there. That would be fun.
James, you don't have to be sorry. You didn't miss anything. I've just been blabbering on the whole time. Yeah.
Mark Torbett, I keep a bottle of oil that I can add to my plastic bags just to keep them from drying out. Mark, what kind of oil is it that you're using, and how are you carrying it? Because one of the things I find is, like, even from baggies, like that oil will get everywhere, and sometimes it makes a huge mess. So I would love to hear what you're using on the fly and what's working for you. I'm reading a bunch of your comments. Matt, better than saying that your company uses WD-40 because it works.
Don't put WD-40 in the lakes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. Don't do it.
It is really, really important to be worrying about your ecosystem, because especially if it's where you're fishing, or if it's a fish that you plan on eating, you certainly want to use something not toxic. Ryan Slummy, I've been experimenting with a new coffee scent. Seems to be making a difference with the bigger girls. I mean, who doesn't love coffee? I guess that's all I can say is I'm really excited about that. Like, you could catch me that way.
Well, and a good way to test out some different oils too is, just like cooking, you can put stuff in hot oil, and you can bring out the natural oils of stuffs that you're cooking, or you can steep it. So you could take coffee grounds, put it in a pouch, and steep it in some oil. And so there's a couple ways to do that. You don't have to go out and buy stuff, but essential oils you can pretty much use whatever you want, mm-hmm. and experiment with it. And honestly, that's part of why, not the scent, but just the experimentation, learning how things are made so that we understand the products better and we're able to use them better. That's honestly what drove us to go and start pouring plastics. It wasn't something to go and sell stuff or make stuff for ourselves. It's more just a learning process and being able to experiment.
And for fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always fun.
Well, and the other thing that made it really fun for us is we actually were watching on YouTube.
Chris Jones.
World's Worst Fishing, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he, I think, has some fishing videos and all kinds of stuff out there. Sometimes just some lifestyle stuff, whatever. But he pours a crazy amount of plastics, and I think to the point where like it's his job now. So he does all kinds of crazy things, but he shows, colors of the day. So if you are hearing about like Alabama craw, or there's all these like different, I don't even know if that was actually a color.
I don't know.
But there's all of these different named colors that, are popular, and maybe somewhere down south or maybe up here, maybe they talk about a scent. Actually, that's where I heard about, using the cherry scent as with your baits. I never would have thought of that. So, watching other people, what they're doing and how they're making their baits gives a lot of information about their experience, because they're going to be then also talking about what's working for them or what's not working for them. So, if that is colors, or if that's scents, or if that's shapes or patterns, or, whatever. And again, there's a lot of options in the world of plastic. And so to hear what's being used, sinking baits, floating baits, just to kind of have some of that background of the plastic makes you more knowledgeable as a consumer. So that's been kind of a fun thing. We've also found that, going to, IGO Plastics, Extreme Plastic, some of these different smaller providers, their baits feel different than the baits that you buy off the store shelves. And part of that is mass production versus not. So you start to kind of learn those things and recognize those things as you kind of go through. Yeah,
definitely the hand pours has really changed the way that I used to fish to now. The hand pour stuff just seems to be soft and durable at the same time. So you're not getting this like really mushy plastic that gets bit off all the time, but you're not getting something that's like hard as a rock that like stretches a million miles but doesn't have any action to it. So a lot of these guys are more than willing to sit and talk to you about, all kinds of stuff, how they go through and do their stuff. They're not going to give you all their secrets, but they'll talk to you about how you fish. And it's a little like making a rod, like getting a custom rod. You can talk to these guys. They can make you different colors. They might be able to change up a little bit of the consistency and make it something dialed more in for you. You just have to talk to them. And there's all kinds of them out there. BY Baits, the IGO Plastics, Extreme Plastics,
Roadside Minnows,
the H2O Hammer. Man, what else?
Well, and actually, you're making me think, because you're talking about some of these other baits. There are people doing some really creative things out there. So if you are looking at Roadside Minnows, for example.
Just got a text from Larry.
If you are looking at Roadside Minnows, for example, they have this perch eye. Gosh, where's my camera? They have this perch eye that came out last year. There's a little bit of a glare, but you can see that inside there is an eyeball. It is really quite like a holographic eyeball. So like what you find on your hard baits is what they're putting in there. It is really a very golden bait. I wonder how much I'm going the wrong way in the camera. Here's the back of the eyeball. So you can see it's a very golden bait, but then it has some red glitter in there. It's like confetti glitter, like little lines. So it really kind of does come across. It still really does kind of come across like an eyeball. Josh got a text from Larry. He may still be joining in. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
That's really random. We did have it planned for tonight, just missed connections or something apparently. So, but as far as, getting that little eyeball in there, and they seal it over with a layer of plastic. So that's something, there's a lot of really unique stuff that's going on in baits. And if you look at Roadside Minnows, even their minnow kind of profile, they're putting eyes on. Personally, I think if you have eyes on your jig, maybe 2 sets of eyes, is that better? Or is it no effect? I don't know. You let us know when you find out.
Well, here's another cool trick. So
but there's like an example of an eyeball.
Yeah. So if you're in a pinch and you want to switch up your bait a little bit, Take 2 baits, cut them in half, and if you have a lighter, you can melt the ends of those and stick them together. And they'll work as long as they're hot enough and you get them stuck together. And you can modify your baits that way too if you want to, if you're just want to fine tune something, that's a quick way to do that.
Yeah, very true.
Wow.
Yeah. So as far as our plans for the weekend, we are looking to get out around here.
Yep.
Looking to do some pan fishing, probably put in a tip up or two.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what's going on. But I'm interested in what you guys have planned for the year, and what's going on for you, how your bite is. I have been hearing things out of the Minocqua area about some really good fishing. So I know that's kind of random, but
yeah.
I think sometimes on Facebook, when you like a status and whatever, visit a page, more pops up. And we were just recently at Kurt's Island for minnows.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a bait shop there. They were open bright and early. They had quite the staff around. That was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And they were setting up for a big event. So shacks and everything was getting pulled out into their parking lot. That seemed like a whole lot of fun, but I will have to tell you, I asked for 2 scoops of minnows, and there was a lot. It was 6 people used those minnows for a full day, and there was still enough to fish for the rest of the week, probably. So thank you to Kurt's Island for all those minnows. And they all did go to good use, and lots of awesome crappies. And I guess I don't know what else we're going to find this weekend. So
yeah, I'm thinking maybe some backwaters.
I have a spot that I haven't told Josh about yet that I want that I want to maybe explore.
You just haven't told me because I have tomorrow.
Yeah. So let us know, in the comments, what kind of plastics you guys use, what you like, what you do, what works, what doesn't, if you're using scent, if you're adding scent or not. And, hopefully we'll meet you on the ice and we'll see what's working and how it's going. So
yeah, we really apologize that Larry wasn't on. I swear to God, he was supposed to be here. So we'll catch up with him some other time. But next week
is Christmas.
We are doing a Christmas show.
So
I don't know what that means. You told me it was a Christmas show.
I have a little bit more of an idea.
But after Christmas, don't be obligated. If you're with family or doing Christmas stuff, don't make sure that you hit that. It'll be a fun show anyway. After that, though, we are going to be talking with Sibley. So he should have his shacks out on Kogibik. They should be fully rolling. So he's going to chat with us. And we'll hear how the bite is and just talk a little bit about fishing and finding fish, how he approaches that with all the lakes up there that he has all to himself.
There's a lot of lakes out there.
So that's the next 2 weeks. So you guys have a great night, and we're going to go try and catch up with Larry Smith.
We'll see you next week.
Later.